Hello, my name is Zain, and I want to talk today about my hijab story. So, the reason I'm making this video, which is my first video on my YouTube channel, the reason I'm making this video is because before I wore hijab, after I decided that I wanted to wear hijab, between that heart decision to the actual physical decision, I found it really valuable to ask other hijabis why they decided to wear hijab, because it kind of made the idea something more tangible for me, if that makes sense. So I hope you find this video valuable and useful and motivational. And the more I had in common with the girl who was telling me her story, the more I was like, this is something I can achieve. Like, this is something that I can do for myself in my own life. So yeah, I hope this is a fruitful video for at least one person out there. And if you've clicked on it already, then you must be interested in some way, I guess. Or you're going to leave a comment about my neck being out. I don't know. Anyways, so this video is going to be separated into different parts. But first, let me tell you about the context, the environment I grew up in, and how Islam was taught to me growing up. So I am one of four daughters. I'm the third oldest out of four daughters to two Syrian doctors who are first generation immigrants. So what that means is that my family is the only family from both sides who are in the UK. So we don't really have that Muslim community of aunties and uncles, like kind of commenting or like giving their two pence basically about how we were raised. We just grew up basically. There was never really that she's doing this, he's doing that kind of vibe, which was very freeing. And I didn't really, it was all I've ever known. I've only ever grown up that way, if that makes sense. So yeah, and my parents are both doctors and they both worked as doctors. And my mom, pretty much after my youngest sister was born, she was pretty much working full time very soon after. So in terms of us growing up, we used to watch Winx Club online. We never watched Disney. We were never allowed to watch Disney. I don't know why. And any Islamic school teaching was in Arabic school, so that was on Saturdays. And the trick is that we were taught it in Arabic, and my Arabic was very bad because I used to zone out during Arabic school. So my Islamic knowledge background is very poor. I used to like hide in the toilets whenever it was time to recite the Quran that we were supposed to have memorized. Like, I used to miss the praying at lunchtime. I was just a very bad student until Ustaz Zarania. And if you're watching this, Ustaz Zarania, I love you. You're like one of the best teachers I've ever had. And yes, I loved that teacher. She just really understood me in terms of, I genuinely thought she understood who I was like as a person, and she made all the things I wanted to do feel attainable. And she's just lovely, like a lovely woman. Like, it would make me cry thinking about her. So that's just to give you a bit of context, in the sense that, like, religiously speaking, we weren't really forced into anything. There was never really expectations. Like, my mom wears hijab, none of my sisters wore hijab. But when they reached a certain level of maturity, we were never told to wear hijab. We were never told by an auntie, your kid should be wearing hijab. Nothing like that. So, except for maybe once or twice. So that's just to paint the picture that, like, Islam was like more of like a ritual thing, if that makes sense. Or like, it would be more something that I would watch my parents do, rather than truly like understand the depth of it, because I was just a troubled child. Like, when it came to Arabic school, I was just so bad with it until Ustaz Irania, who I had in my final year there. So that's just to give context. So, like, for me, hijab was never a farad. It was never something that I had to do. It was never something I was expected to do. It was just something that my mom had on her head, if that makes sense. That being said, though, I used to love the hijab. I always loved the hijab. I would always look at women wearing the hijab, and I just genuinely could see like a different brightness to their face. I can't explain it. And it's not because they were wearing white hijabs. So yeah, I just used to love the hijab. Like, whenever I'd envision myself as an adult, it would always be as a hijabi, like pushing a pram with kids as a hijabi. Um, and then I went to university. Now, in university, how do I talk about this without talking about it? I just discovered myself, okay? I just found out for myself what I thought was right and what I thought was wrong. And I trialed and errored and I suffered consequences and regret and mistakes. But it got me to where I am, if that makes sense. So, yeah, so then after first year and second year of university, it was no longer when am I going to wear hijab, and it was more if I'm going to wear it. And I was just kind of like, I was just not very close to my religion. I really wasn't. I've never ever had an issue with belief in Allah. I've never had an issue with the philosophy and the theory behind Islam. I've always loved it. I've always loved arguing about it, talking about it, expressing it. That's been something so dear to me always, and I'm so grateful for that. Um, and I've always questioned it. I've never like just accepted something. I've always been, okay, well, why is this way? Um, but in terms of my heart aligning with my action, there was a huge disconnect. And unfortunately, it was getting to the point where my actions were causing my heart to be even further and further away from Allah, if that makes sense. Um, until it got to a point in August 2023 where I just had to take a hold of myself. And I was just like, what is happening? And I distinctly remember walking outside my house. Like, I literally just left because it's so cringe to stay at home and do this. Like, you don't really feel like you've got the freedom to speak when there's people in the house. And I just went for a walk around the neighborhood, and I was just speaking to myself. I was stood in the middle of the street and I was just talking and crying and talking and crying and talking and crying. And I was talking in English. I hadn't even prayed. I was just crying and saying everything on my mind, like every little last part. I said it, and I was just like, Allah, please, like, I want to feel closer to this religion. I want to feel more like me, because it's not, there's consequences when you don't have religion in your life. I think, especially when it's something that you're convinced by. And even when you're not convinced by it, I think that in itself has its own weight. But honestly, it's like, it was such a big part of my identity and how I saw myself, that because I felt so far away, I just felt like I was also making decisions that I didn't agree with and I didn't align with, but I was doing it because of how far away from my religion I was. And I could see this in the way I saw myself. Like, I was seeking validation from everything else rather than like genuine love for myself. I wasn't disciplined. I was really lazy. I wasn't really treating my parents the best. And a few other things. So that was genuinely a turning point for me. That walk in August was a turning point. And I remember I was watching a YouTube video, I was listening to a podcast or something, and it was basically saying the point that even you desiring to be closer to Allah in itself is a sign from Allah. And that just really hit home for me. And like, if you actually deep it, I'll repeat it, like, the desire in your heart in itself is a sign. Like, even if you're not seeing the tangible actions of like praying more, of fasting, of reading Quran, whatever it is, even if you're not seeing that in your life, you're not doing it, if you have that desire, that in itself is Allah calling you back to Him. And you should be so grateful for it, and you should protect it and nurture it. So that was a turning point, August 2023. And then after that night of just speaking and crying, I just went about my life. It was summertime, I didn't have university. And I just started praying. Like, I wish I could tell you the trigger. I wish I could tell you what caused it. It wasn't a YouTube video. It wasn't a conversation. I just started praying. Like, literally just, it was as if one of the requests between me and Allah had been answered. And I just started praying. And I just kept on praying. Then I prayed Dhuhr, then I prayed Asr, then Maghrib, then Isha, then Fajr the next day, then Dhuhr, then Asr. And I wasn't always on time, and it wasn't always a perfect prayer, but I prayed, and I made sure to pray. And I remember university then started in September time, and I would start taking like my ghata salah, or like my prayer clothes with me, because obviously I wasn't covering my hair. And yeah, I remember that was in September time when hospital placement started, because I'm a medical student. And my drive to the hospital from my flat was like 45 minutes to an hour. And on that drive, I would listen to Amr Suleiman podcasts, like back from 2013, the OG podcast from back in the day. And I used to listen to them, and I was at such a point where I was like thirsty for Islam in my life. Like I needed it so bad. Um, and I remember like every podcast would make me cry. Like I stopped wearing makeup to placement because I would just cry it all off, like genuinely. So yeah, it was actually getting to a very emotional point, and it was very heavy. But the thing with religion, whether you're Christian, Muslim, whatever, when you get to that heaviness of really deeping how much your relationship with your Lord is improving, and like how many mistakes you've made and how much you have to repent for, it's so heavy, but it's also so freeing. I can't explain it, even though I just tried to explain it. It's like a very unique feeling of acknowledging how much work needs to be done, but then relief that you're doing it and that you're in the middle of it, if that makes sense. Regardless, like you're in the eye of the hurricane almost, because it's so transformative. It's like a huge change that I was going through. So Umar Suleiman and also taking Ghatas Salahs, like the prayer covers to university, just made me realize like I could literally wear hijab right now and I'm not. But then I just put that thought to the back of my mind. I was like, no, we're not doing that. So yeah, so then I just put the hijab to the side. And then in October time, obviously this October 2023, and all the videos from Gaza are coming, and they're not stopping, and each one is worse than the other. And at the start of everything happening in Gaza, this is when there was like, okay, this is only going to be a temporary thing. Like, this isn't going to last too long, like maybe a month, 2 months. Like, no one saw it lasting as long as it is continuing to last. The videos were of a different theme. So I would say that back then, the videos were more about like, you would visibly see how tightly the Palestinians were holding on to their faith. And I'm not saying that it's not the case anymore, but I think back then, all Muslims around the world were absolutely astounded and deeply moved by the videos in both like a human way and a Muslim way. And I'm not saying that to romanticize it, because I really hate to do that, because it shouldn't take that happening to people in Gaza for us to realize how lucky we are. It shouldn't take that. And I'm not, as horrible the situation is happening in Gaza, I'm thankful for all the positive things that have come out of it, but I also feel so awful to say that because I don't fully agree with it, and it shouldn't be their job to teach us Islam, if that makes sense. So yeah, I really don't like that. Like sometimes I do hear like sheikhs talking in a certain way and like really romanticizing what's happening in Gaza, when really we should be motivating to mobilize and to actually make a difference and to protest and to do all of these things like that are practical and tangible. So that's one point. So the videos in Gaza were a wake-up call for me, a huge wake-up call, and I just realized that I was sitting on tons and tons and tons of blessings from Allah. And I thought I was a grateful person, and I realized I was nowhere near. Like, even me just sat here right now filming this video is a blessing in itself. The fact that I have the health to be able to talk, to be able to think, to be able to rationalize, all of this is such a huge blessing. The fact that I've got an internet connection to post this stupid video and the luxury of time to film it is a blessing in itself. And I'm not even scraping the surface now of blessings, but it's just the ones that come to my mind. So it was a huge wake-up call. And I remember there was a specific video of women like sleeping in their prayer covers during the night because they didn't know what was going to happen. They didn't know if they were going to wake up. They didn't know if they'd have to be buried. Astaghfirullah. But like, when I watched that video, I was like, my gosh, I am such an excuse of a person. Like, what am I doing with myself? And this isn't just about Islam and wearing hijab. This is about how hard I was working, how much I was revising, how I was treating my parents, how much I was reading Quran, like all of these different things. and these things that I know I can improve on, and I was just like waiting not to improve on it, if that makes sense. So huge wake up call, a huge wake up call. And even now, I don't feel like I'm doing everything I can, and I don't think you ever feel like you can do everything you can. You don't feel like you're doing everything you can, because there's always more you can do. You know what I mean? And as toxic as that sounds, I guess it's better to feel that way than to feel like you've done enough, if that makes sense. I don't know, it's a tricky one. So during this time, every single video from Gaza, I remember I'd come back from placement, listen to an Amor Suleiman podcast, say it on my phone, go on Instagram, look at Eye on Palestine, and I would just burst out crying. Like, each video hit me worse than the other, and this was like the first time any of us had seen videos this bad, and each one was worse. And just when you think, okay, surely there's not going to be that much suffering, there was more. And I think we've all gone to the point now of being so utterly desensitized to a very insane level that I can watch a video now, and I watch it and I stay on the video because for the algorithm, but I just zone out, if that makes sense, because I'm almost like protecting my mind, if that makes sense. I find it very hard to pay witness to what I'm watching, but I guess I owe it. Like, if how dare I not pay witness? Like, do you know when you watch those clips on Instagram and it's like someone stitched a video and then it's someone from Gaza saying, please just click all the 4 buttons? How much I want to just swipe off and not have to witness that person suffering, but I'm just like, no, like, you just have to stay, like it, comment, share. And it feels so heavy for me to do that, but imagine how they feel, like, actually. So that's one thing. That's Gaza. And then at this point, I've decided, like, I'm so resolute, I want to wear hijab. Me, Zain, I want to wear hijab, and I want to come to a decision, am I going to wear it or not? And I don't want to revisit this decision. Like, this decision has to be made. Either I wear it or either I don't. And now it's like November time. And I remember I had stopped posting TikToks now of myself with my hair showing. And I removed all my previous videos because it was getting real. Like, I was like, yeah, like, I think I need to start doing physical steps. And also, I'm also asking hijabis their stories, and it's just all adding, and it's all at the front of my mind. Like, I couldn't think about anything else for like a month. So that was in November. So then I stopped posting TikToks with my hair showing, and I told Mama about it, and I was like, Mama, like, I think I want to wear hijab. And she was like worried because she didn't want it to be like an emotional reaction to everything happening in Gaza, because she wanted it to be like a genuine decision. And she was like, okay, take it easy, Habibti, take it easy. And I was like, okay, I'll think about it more. But yeah, so she just tried to slow me down, basically, because I was ready to wear it on that day that I was talking to her. I was like, Mom, I want to wear hijab. She was like, slow down, Habibti Alba. Because, yeah, I feel like there's a lot of pressure that comes with wearing hijab as well, which is a different video. So yeah, and then also in November, I remember I was swimming, and when I was starting to think about hijab more, I was thinking about it being implemented in my life. So I stopped the TikTok, I sorted out my wardrobe, I got rid of everything that was like crazy and that wasn't long sleeve or like baggy and wasn't like jeans and like long trousers. So I got rid of everything. I took it back home to home, and so that was one step I took. But then what I was struggling with was swimming, because I used to love to swim. And let's be real, like, swimming in a burkini is not the same as swimming in a one piece. Like, it's just completely different. Like, swimming in a burkini is not enjoyable. It's kind of gross. Like, I avoid it at all costs. I just find it, yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, ugh. It just makes me feel gross. And I had like a huge issue with the swimming thing. I was like, oh, like, if I could wear hijab but then just take it off to swim, that would be ideal. But nowhere near me does like women's only swimming or whatever. So once I was swimming, and I remember like, Allah, like, I was thinking about wearing hijab. I was like thinking, could I wear a bikini right now? Would it be that good? And it was in Manchester in the aquatic centre. It was like a 50 meter pool. I was on one end, and then someone wearing all black got in on the other end, and I was swimming, and I'm not wearing my contact lenses, and I'm just looking at this person. I'm like, subhanallah, like, just when I'm thinking about wearing hijab, someone wearing hijab has come to swim. Subhanallah, like, Allahu Akbar. And then I get closer and closer and closer. I'm like 5 meters away now, and it's a black guy in black speedos. not a burkini hijabi gal. So then I'm just like, what? Like, what is wrong with me? I'm actually crazy. Like, I'm seeing hijab everywhere. Like, I was starting to like hallucinate people wearing hijab. That's like how much on my mind it was, to express the point. And then that's that was a very key event though, because I remember I told my friends about it and they were all like laughing at me, and it was really funny, to be fair. But yeah, it just shows you that like this is something that I thought was a sign. Like, I saw this black guy in the swimming pool as a sign, but they weren't. They were just like a normal person minding their own business. And then it was December time, and it was like a break from university, so I went back home. And I'm posting TikToks now every day, but like I'm covering my hair. Like, I basically look like a hijabi, right? And it was December, and every single day I would read Quran, and that's a habit like that I need to pick back up again. But I would read at least a page or two of Quran, and I would actually like pay attention, and every single time I wore it, I swore I burst out crying. Like, it was almost as if the 2 years of being so detached from Islam had all come, and they were all like entering. Like, I had a debt to pay. I had an emotional debt to pay, and it was getting paid in those 2 weeks of like every single day I would read Quran and cry and cry and cry. Like, it was insane. um and it was unrelated. Like, it wasn't even necessarily about hijab or about like that kind of stuff. It was just pure Quran. And yeah, it was really emotional for me. And then I remember like every night before I slept, and also keep in mind I'm praying now, and every night before I slept I'd just be like, Allah, please show me a sign. Like, please give me the strength to wear hijab if it's the right thing for me. Because I do understand how sometimes hijab can almost outsource the religious validation, if that makes sense. So I just always wanted hijab to be the right thing for me, to feel closer to Allah and to always feel closer to Allah wearing it, because that's what's made me love it. That's the reason why I wear it, because this hijab makes me feel closer to Allah and more mindful of Allah at all times, even when it makes mistakes feel more heavy than before I wore them. I'm grateful for the heaviness because it's the best thing to come out of a sin, if that makes sense. So then it's December time, reading Quran, and then it's New Year's, and we went to a party, and I was wearing like I had like a short dress, with my hair straightened, and I remember we took pictures. I actually looked really nice, but not the point. And I just remember thinking to myself, like, I don't want to post these. Like, I don't feel comfortable posting this. Like, I don't want this to go anywhere. I don't want to be seen like this. And I was starting to feel naked in things I used to feel so normal in before. And I noticed that, and I was just like, this is strange. And then it was the 7th of January or the 8th, I can't remember exactly. And this was a full pack day for me. So in the morning, I had a photo shoot with this modest sportswear company called Evolute. And I had reached out to them, and I was like, because at that point, I was like, I thought I was an influencer, and I was posting TikToks all the time. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to do a photo shoot with this sports brand. And because they were like modest wear, I was like, okay, this aligns with me. So I reached out to them, and obviously like they'd benefit from me putting on my platform at the time, and also I love new experiences. So yeah, it was like a win-win situation. So I reached out, and first of all, the people behind the brand are so lovely and so sweet and so like kind. And I was like to them, whatever photo shoot got arranged. I don't remember exactly how, but obviously at that point, I'm not posting anything of my hair on it. Like on Instagram, I've removed everything. On TikTok, I've stopped posting with only with my hair covered, basically. Even when I'm doing daily vlogs, I'll put my hood up or something. And I go to the photo shoot, and I'm like to them, okay, so like, how do you want my hair? Because I had washed it and dried it, and I'm like, do you want it up in a ponytail? Do you want it down? Like, how do you want it? And keep in mind, there were 3 other models, 2 hijabis, 1 non-hijabi, and I'm supposed to be the 4th non-hijabi, so 2-2. And the guy who owns the brand, him and his friend, they were like, oh, Zain, like, if you want, you can wear our sports hijab. And I was like, really? And he was like, yeah, like, we've seen your TikToks. We know that you don't want to post yourself, like, not wearing hijab. So it's fine. Like, you can, like, wear the sports hijab. And I was like, really? And I put it on. I remember seeing myself in hijab for the first time. And, like, these photos are going somewhere now. And I'm wearing hijab. And I remember thinking to myself, like, wow, like I just loved everything. I was so relaxed, I was so at peace, and it was just like the most amazing feeling. And then that was a photo shoot, and then in the afternoon I had a graduation party for family friends in London. So then I rushed to the train station, went home, went to London, and I had worn or packed a sleeveless, so it's like a sleeve like that, a sleeveless long jumpsuit. And I remember I took last minute before we left a scarf from my mom to put over my shoulders, just because I was like, I need to cover myself, like I'm not comfortable. So yeah, and then the whole night I just kept it on. And there was like, honestly, I have a few honorable mentions. Like there was my friend Noor, who I spoke to, and she's like my age, and she wore hijab at the same time as me. So she was so lovely to speak to about it. So her having worn it like a few weeks before me, or a month or something, I remember thinking like, oh my gosh, I can do this. So she was at the graduation party. And then even before that, I have a friend called Rama, and she spoke to me about it, and she was like, Zain, sometimes you need to take an action when the emotion's there and when you feel close. Like sometimes you just need to take the action and just trust everything else is going to work out, because she knew I was thinking about wearing hijab. And then there was another friend called Sarah. So I spoke to her, her mom, and her grandma about why she wore hijab. Like I'm telling you, I was obsessed with people's hijab stories. So so yeah, some honorable mentions, and obviously my mum, like, you know what I mean, like she was so supportive. um but yeah, so then that was a grad party. Then I was keeping the shell on the whole time. And then on the way back, obviously I didn't post anything from that either, which is a big deal for me because I used to post all the time, by the way. And then on the way back from London back home, um, the photos from the photo shoot were on the shared album and I could see them. And I showed my sister NG, and I showed my mom and my other sister Farah. And I remember, because they knew I was thinking about wearing hijab, but they just thought like she's just thinking about it. I remember my sister Angie was like, oh, so like, are you still thinking about wearing it? How do you feel? And in that moment, I literally burst out crying, and this feeling descended upon me. Like it came out of nowhere, and I just felt like I wasn't, I felt like a different person. Like I was just like, yeah, I'm gonna wear hijab. Like I'm gonna wear hijab. And then like we were all starting to cry in the car, and it was all emotional and everything. So um yeah, it was like a very touching moment. And like that moment specifically of how close I felt to Allah, and how relieved I was to finally have made a decision, that is a feeling I miss so much. And I don't know if anyone who's worn hijab by their own volition has can relate to what I'm saying, but like I don't like, it was the sweetest moment of my life. And I've told my friends about this, but like, so it's been so long since I felt that close to Allah. And it was a very special moment. And then that's when I knew like, khalas, I'm gonna wear hijab. Like I'm not looking back, I'm gonna do it. And I don't know, it's so weird because I never thought I'd have that feeling, but I had made dua for it so many times, and I was just like, Allah, please, like, make it clear to me when I'm supposed to wear it. Because I think that was the biggest thing. I knew I wanted to wear it, but it was just like actually doing it that was so crazy to me. And then after that, mama helped me like get modest clothes and like dresses for events, and like I bought myself a burkini, which I've worn like twice or three times. Ugh. Hate burkinis. But yeah. And I decided to wear hijab on the 8th of January 2024. And that is my hijab story. And I hope if there's any point that you relate to, I hope it serves as motivation for you to take that next step. And yeah, like genuinely, it's probably the best decision I've ever made. Definitely the heaviest, but so worth it. So worth it. And genuinely, if you're in this state of like not being able to decide of what you want to do, if you want to wear it or not, like can you wear it, do you have the strength to do it, whatever, just make dua. Like genuinely make dua for it. Ask Allah to make it easy for you and to guide you to the right point, to be able to do it. But yeah, that's my hijab story. If you guys have any questions, I can answer them in upcoming videos. But yeah, I'm probably gonna end it at the 30-minute mark. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.